In today's video, I am going to explain muscle anatomy that restricts ribcage movement. Ribcage is related to many tissues. Ribcage has relationship with internal organs, nervous tissue system, lymphatic system, blood vessels. But I want to focus on muscles today. If you understand what kind of muscles attach to ribcage, now you can suggest what kind of muscles restricts ribcage movement. Let me start from anterior view. Let me start from this part. This area is about xiphoid process and costal cartilage. Around costal cartilage, there are abdominal muscles. Abdominal muscles such as rectus abdominis, external oblique, internal oblique, and transverse abdominis. Many abdominal muscles attach around costal cartilage and xiphoid process. What happens if ab muscles get tight? That restricts movement of ribcage, particularly around inferior part. Does it make sense? Plus, what is deep to ribcage? What kind of muscles is deep to ribcage? There's famous muscle. That is, of course, diaphragm. Diaphragm attaches to costal cartilage. It's inside part of ribcage. Again, what if diaphragm gets tight? That, of course, inhibits movement of ribcage. See, a lot of muscles attaching around inferior part of ribcage. How about between each ribs? See, there are muscles between each rib. There are muscles called intercostals. Intercostals. There are three layers in intercostal muscles. External intercostals, internal intercostals, and innermost intercostals. They are literally everywhere in ribcage. It's on anterior part, the lateral part, and they are of course on posterior part. So if your breathing is tight on anterior part and between ribcage, maybe your intercostals are tight. Let's say if you breathe in and you feel tightness during breathing around inferior part of ribcage, maybe your abdominal muscles are tight. Does it make sense? Depends on where you feel tightness, you can detect what kind of muscle is tight. Anyhow, I just explained abdominal muscles and intercostal muscles. Actually, other muscles attached to ribcage, such as shoulder girdle muscles. What kind of muscle is that? It's like these muscles. This is pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor, also known as pec minor. Next one is this one. This is serratus anterior. They are shoulder girdle muscles. That means they attach to scapula plus thorax. What if they get tight? That may inhibit movement of ribcage. Of course, they inhibit scapular movement. Additionally, they restrict movement of ribcage. Then, same thing. If you breathe in and you feel tightness around upper part of chest and lateral part of ribcage, maybe your pec minor and serratus anterior get tight. Does it make sense? They attach to ribcage. All the muscles that attach to ribcage, there is chance that these muscles can tighten up movement of ribcage. It's very important to know. Anyway, if there's pectoralis minor, there should be pectoralis major. Indeed, this is pec major. Pec major, pectoralis major, that attaches to sternum, plus partially that attaches to costal cartilage of ribcage. It's about here. Oh my gosh, pec major also attaches to thorax. What if this part gets tight? Maybe that diminishes movement of ribcage, sternum, right? So again, all the muscles that attach to ribcage, they have chance to diminishes movement of ribcage. Anyhow, this is anterior view. Abdominal muscles, intercostal muscles, shoulder girdle muscles, and pec major. Then what kind of muscles are there on backside? There are a lot of muscles attaching around ribcage on backside. What is this one? This is quadratus lumborum. quadratus lumborum that attaches to 12th rib. Oh, by the way, this is intercostals. As I said, intercostal muscles are everywhere on the rib cage, anterior part, lateral part, and of course on posterior part. Then what is this one? These tiny muscles. This is levator costrum. Levator costrum longus and brevis. There are two kinds of levator costrum muscles. Anyhow, they attach to ribs. Then what are they? What are these muscles? These muscles are erector spinae. Erector spinae is very broad, very tall muscles, and especially middle part and lower part attached to rib cage. So function of erector spinae is extension of trunk. Same time, they attach to rib cage. So they have a kind of accessory function for breathing. Very important. What is this one? This is serratus posterior inferior. Serratus posterior inferior. This is minor muscle. However, still that attaches to rib cage. See, there are a lot of muscles attaching on rib cage on posterior part. Then, is that it? Anterior part, posterior part, around thorax and lumbar area. Not only that, also neck muscles attached to rib cage. What are these muscles? These muscles are called scalene. Scalene, this is scalene anterior or anterior fiber. This is middle scalene and this is posterior scalene. Anterior and middle attaches to first rib. Posterior attaches to second rib. As I said, this is neck muscle. It basically moves neck. However, when scalene contracts, this contraction brings thorax up, rib cage up. Thus, this is related to breathing. What if scalene gets tight? That diminishes breathing. That's very important. One more muscle, which you don't see, is like this. This is also neck muscle. This is sternocleidomastoid. Let's say this is SCM, sternocleidomastoid. Sternocleidomastoid. That attaches to sternum and clavicle and mastoid process. Yep, this muscle attaches to sternum and clavicle. Sternum and clavicle have relationship with rib cage. Thus, tightness of sternocleidomastoid may indirectly inhibit rib cage movement. Oh my gosh, neck muscles, abdominal muscles, shoulder girdle muscles, and back muscles, everything, all the muscles that attach to rib cage, they may have chance to diminish its rib cage movement. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of things to memorize, right? But this is, baby step. It's very hard to understand at first time, but once your knowledge compounds, now it's easy to understand. So please don't quit studying anatomy. It's very fun study. If you liked today's video, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. See you next video.